It feels like a sinking ship. These are the words you'll hear a lot if you look around the internet, but they're also my very own words. Elite does very much feel like it's on the way down. Now, I don't enjoy making heavily critical content, but I touched on some problems with Elite Dangerous and Frontier in a previous video, so I want to follow up with some additional context. At any rate, what are the problems? Well, the problems are the same as they always have been. Communications and the lack of clear insight as to the future of the game. Let me illustrate. Finally, we would also like to address the topic of communication. We are aware that many of you have been asking about greater communication, visibility, and a change on how we share and update Elite Dangerous moving forward. While we do always try to be as clear for the vision of the future as possible, such as Horizons or beyond the season roadmaps, we also must accept that this alone has not hit the mark. That was the 4th of June 2021, so Frontier realising that they really didn't communicate that effectively and promising that they would do better going forward. Incidentally, notice how they cite the Horizons season roadmap as a good example of communication. When they wrote this message, that particular roadmap was 6 years old. They also cite the Beyond roadmap as another good piece of communication. Again, when they wrote this message, that roadmap was 4 years old. So yes, some significant time between their examples of effective communication. At any rate, after the message on June 2021, communications and the insight into the game's development did improve. Then we get to this on the 9th of February 2022, around about 6 months later. I want to speak directly about the lack of official streams and reduced communications from our social channels since the start of 2022. I understand the concerns that this has caused and hope this statement goes some way to alleviate them. They then go on to say that, well, they'll be returning live streams and improving communications. And, well, yes, they did return live streams, but communications haven't really improved. This then is an example from just the last 12 months on how Frontier handled communications with the Elite Dangerous community. The problem, however, spans back far further than just 12 months and has been a repeating pattern since 2015. So yes, by Frontier's very own admission, their communications with the Elite community misses the mark. In my own personal opinion though, it's actually worse than that and is downright poor. Of course, it is possible that by the time you watch this video, Frontier have delivered a brand new roadmap and some, well, great communications over on their forums. Anything is possible. But even if they have done that, it doesn't at all change the message I'm conveying here. And that is, over the past 7 years, Frontier have shown themselves unable to commit long-term to any communications improvements. Basically, Frontier's line of communication ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. Now, before I discuss this any further, we really need to look at what good communications actually are. So here's a few examples. When we set out to build our plans for Guild Wars 2 in 2022 and beyond, we spent considerable time looking back on the last 10 years of the game's history, taking stock of where we succeeded and where we fell short. We reviewed player and press feedback, spoke to those at the studio who were here for the highs and lows, and dug into mountains of data covering the span of the game's operation. At the end of the process, it was clear there were two key areas we knew we needed to address as part of our plans. First, we need to prioritise delivering consistent updates for our players. Second, it's important that our plans allow our team to maintain a healthy work-life balance. This then was an extensive blog post that gave in-depth insight to players on the future of the game. It gives players insights on where ArenaNet currently are with the game and where they plan on taking it in the future, where it can go, where it can't go, and the things all players have to look forward to. They ended the post with this nugget. One last update before we go, we're happy to confirm that there will be a 4th expansion for Guild Wars 2. We mean it when we say we're focused on the long term. This is a very early confirmation, the earliest we've ever done this in fact, so don't expect any news anytime soon. Expansions take a very long time to develop, plus there's plenty of cool things to look forward to between now and then. Now naturally, not all developers of live service games are happy to go into quite such extensive detail, but nonetheless there are so many other good examples. In February, the team behind Final Fantasy XIV took to the internet to discuss their future development of the game. They admitted some hurdles and some difficulty maintaining their current pace of patches and stated that they would have to slow things down. But nonetheless, they revealed partial content for the next 6 series of patches. Open, honest, and with some extremely clear sense of direction for where the game is heading in the future. Let's turn our attention to another game, Fallout 76. You'll see a few people out there who still have very heated things to say about this particular title, but honestly, the joke is on them. Bethesda have announced the next year's worth of content for Fallout 76, revealing the next 4 patch releases all the way up to winter 2022. Now, I could go on and on here. We've got open and clear communications from Microsoft Flight Simulator, Elder Scrolls Online, and even New World, and of course many more, but seriously, at this point, I think you get the point. And of course, not every developer wants to talk about roadmaps or even show them, but then you've got companies such as Paradox with Stellaris, and you've got CCP with EVE Online. They don't have roadmaps, but their communications are clear and open, and every player knows the rough direction their games are heading in. Of course, quite naturally, not every player is happy about all of this. In fact, frequently many players are not happy. But nonetheless, this doesn't deter these companies from putting the information out there and providing insight to their communities. After all, that is how you treat your community when you're building a live service game. But all that said, why does this all even matter? Is there really a point behind companies sharing insights with the players into the future of their products? Well, yes, there is a point, and it's a very valid one and a very important one. What it does is show that any development company has extreme confidence in their own product. It also shows that these companies have confidence in their own ability to deliver. That doesn't mean that these people always get things right. Of course, they're only human, and that means that there are mistakes and things don't always go to plan, but they let people know when that happens as well. It seems then that one thing most live service companies have understood is if you show respect towards your player base, they will show that in return. So going back to Frontier and Elite Dangerous, they of course don't really have roadmaps. Yes, they have the Horizons roadmap from 2015, they have the Beyond roadmap from 2017. All of these are very old examples. In fact, Elite Dangerous is now 8 years old. There should be far more than just these 2 examples. So why is it that Frontier don't like to communicate about their future plans? Well, for that, we have this message from Frontier themselves dated 2019. It's no secret that games change regularly while in development. It's a healthy process and an important part of making a game. While some people are more than happy with changing content plans, we know this is often not the case on a wider scale. Fleet carriers and ice planets are very good examples where there was a large amount of disappointment when they were removed from the still very large Beyond Chapter 4 update last December. These are the reasons that we aim, where possible, to ensure that what we communicate gives our community enough future vision to see where the next period of development will go, but ensures that we believe that it is achievable and can be delivered within that time frame. Digging a little deeper, it's then about each specific update. We then look at releasing information and updates when they are far enough into development that we have a good level of confidence for the same reasons as above, and that we can show them in all their glory. So what this tells us in Frontier's very own words and in very clear terms is that when they don't communicate with the community, it's because they don't have confidence in the features they are able to deliver. And this, in my opinion at least, is very much the root of the problem. The whys and hows and what fors of all of this remain a complete mystery. Only those inside Frontier will ever know the answer to it. The net result of all of this, however, is one undeniable fact. Players are losing confidence within Elite Dangerous as well as Frontier's ability to deliver. Now, how much you see of this, how much you feel about this will depend upon the way you look. The official forums are perhaps a good example that there's still many staunch defenders of Frontier's policy, and whilst on the official forums you may see some criticism towards Elite Dangerous, it's often stamped out and eradicated where players, the most critical, are driven out. You'll also see heavy criticism over on the Elite Dangerous subreddit, as well as in comments to YouTube videos. And yes, this includes YouTube content creators, many of whom agree that Frontier's handling of Elite Dangerous' community is far from ideal. Now, to be perfectly fair, and not to paint an unreasonable picture or just to cherry pick, there is of course plenty of praise to go round about the game as well as about Frontier, but the amount of this is reducing over time and faith in the game is undeniably shaken. Now, it's got to be mentioned that a significant amount of this is due to a parade of bad news. No VR for Odyssey, no ship interiors, cancellation of all development of Elite Dangerous on consoles, and no fixes to planetary tiling. Frontier then are delivering a row of news of things they cannot achieve. Unlike other companies and their live service games, Frontier are unable to deliver this bad news with good news. It seems sometimes there is no good news for Elite Dangerous. That said, to be fair, Frontier did recently mention they want to focus resources on new content, fixes and performance issues, but they don't give any details, and to be perfectly honest here, to be perfectly blunt, it's getting harder and harder to take them at their word and take their messages at face value. Of course, it's not all bad news. Frontier have delivered 11 updates for Odyssey. These include bug fixes and performance improvements, as well as fleet carrier interiors, a pretty significant update. There was also a brand new SRV. There's There's also the story with Salvation, as well as various community goals, as well as the recently added community-focused event calendar. No one is for 1 second saying that Frontier don't deliver any type of community interactions, they certainly do. This then is not where the problem lies. The problem lies with the community's confidence in Elite Dangerous, and that is perhaps a reflection of Frontier's very own confidence with the game. Ultimately then, until Frontier are ready and willing to commit to Elite Dangerous to show that they have confidence in their own product, as well as confidence in their own ability to deliver future content, then the relationship between the community, Elite Dangerous and Frontier is going to continue to degrade. Personally, that's how I see it in no uncertain terms. Not all of you will agree with it, it's just my opinion after all, but if you do agree with it or if you've got a different take, do let me know in the comments section below. Do you think Frontier are handling Elite Dangerous well at the moment, or do you think there's room for improvement, and if so, what should that improvement be? As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.